And it is indeed a good day. It's not just any particular day here on Life FM with Lauren and Daz. It is a Wellness Wednesday.
Wellness Wednesdays on The Takeover. Brought to you by station sponsor Kelli K Naturopath. Book your free intro call today at kellik.com.au.
Yes, Kelli K Naturopath joins us right now over Zoom. Kelli K, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah, going well. Yeah.
Plodding along,
Plodding along, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that spring has sprung now.
Yes.
That's it. Now we have gone from cold weather to hay fever season. So, yeah, there you go. Oh, man. But, Kelli, we're so keen to dive into tonight's topic, which is dysautonomia and POTS or POTS. And so talk us through this, because these are both words which we are not really that familiar with, and I'm sure our listeners as well. So could you tell us a little bit about what dysautonomia is and POTS or POTS?
Yes, I can. So dysautonomia and POTS. So what dysautonomia is, it is really when the autonomic nervous system, which is the part of your nervous system which controls all the involuntary functions. So everything that happens without you thinking about it, your breathing, your heart rate, your blood pressure. And when that part of the nervous system becomes unbalanced or dysregulated, it causes a whole host of problems. And one of those problems is POTS, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which really the main, part of that big long mouthful is the tachycardia part. So tachycardia means fast heart rate.
Right.
So it's when people have their resting heart rate jumps more than 30 beats per minute, or in teens it can be more than 40 beats per minute. But it's not just about having a fast heart rate. There's a whole host, because the autonomic nervous system controls so many different functions in the body. It can affect so many different parts. So people can have dizziness and lightheadedness. They can faint randomly. They have brain fog, fatigue, racing heart, headaches, digestive issues, bladder issues, all sorts. And some people have it quite mildly and they can still manage to, live their life quite well. And for others, it can be super severe and very debilitating. So, and it is something that we tend to see more so in young people.
Oh, okay. That's so interesting to hear about there being lots of links to younger people. But those symptoms, I heard you calling them out, and I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds familiar to a group of symptoms that we might associate with other diseases or sicknesses. So what is the link, or is there a link to this syndrome and things like COVID-19?
Yeah, well, what we find with POTS is that usually there's something that triggers it, and a virus is a really common trigger. And, of course, COVID's been around. We've seen a huge, increase in POTS, or maybe just an increased awareness and increase in diagnosis. It's very, not uncommon for COVID to be a trigger, and people who experience long COVID, so that's when they have ongoing symptoms or complications for months after having their infection, depends what you read, but somewhere around 3/4 also have a diagnosis of POTS.
Wow.
So, so it's why it's becoming, people may or may not have heard of it, but if there's someone in your life that is struggling with POTS, you probably have heard something. You've heard that term thrown around at some point.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Well, we're going to take a quick break, Kelli, but when we come back right after Timmy Trumpet, we're going to hear a little bit more about how diet and lifestyle is so important to actually manage dysautonomia and POTS.
Here on The Takeover with Daz and Lauren, and the best thing is to be well educated in your wellness, and that's why we have Wellness Wednesday here with Kelli K. Hey, Kelli, how's it going?
Really well, thank you.
Awesome. Now, we're talking about dysautonomia today, and we've kind of briefly chatted a little bit about what it is and the link to potentially COVID.
But we also, of course, have to ask where diet, nutrients, and lifestyle comes in to dysautonomia and POTS. And so could you tell us a little bit about why it's so important to maintain a healthy diet and lifestyle with something like dysautonomia?
Absolutely. It's really, really important to be able to manage symptoms using diet and lifestyle. So one of the reasons is, one reason is we want to be able to support that nervous system. So help it to maintain balance. And we want to be able to help people manage symptoms, but also probably most importantly is to help people avoid triggers. And so when I talk about triggers, we're talking about people whose nervous system are really already a little bit off kilter, and it really doesn't take much to tip the balance, so to speak, and to trigger symptoms or, have a flare-up of symptoms or worsen symptoms. So with that means that we have to make some modifications to our diet and lifestyle. The key things to be really aware of is really staying hydrated, so drinking a lot more water than the average person, and making sure there's plenty of salt coming in through the diet because that helps to regulate the heart rate and the blood pressure. But also when we're looking at diet, we want to avoid things like blood sugar spikes and inflammatory foods, alcohol, overeating. All of these things can act as triggers for symptoms. So that becomes really important to be able to educate people and to help them manage their symptoms around that, as well as the lifestyle stuff that you do to reduce stress. So mindfulness, deep breathing, those kinds of things become super, super important as well.
Really, really important. And if people want to find out more about dysautonomia and POTS and a little bit more about what you do, Kelli, then they can head over to your website, kellik.com.au, and that's Kelli with an I. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yep, you'll find plenty of information there.
Fantastic. Kelli, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Wellness Wednesday, and we look forward to having you chat with you again in a fortnight. Thanks, Kelli.
Wellness Wednesdays on The Takeover, brought to you by station sponsor Kelli Naturopath. Book your free intro call today at kellik.com.au.